Park on. They the radio promo, all that stuff. They did all the stuff that major. The reason why I got stopped is because Stokely used to do speeches about Black Power. He used to use the word cracker roll.
He was once called the brain of hip-hop, the golden child of American music, the successor to KRS-One, the intellectual symbol of 90s rap, Talib Kweli. For more than 2 decades, he stood on top of hip-hop like an undefeated king, wealthy, powerful, and an inspiration to millions of young artists. But at the very peak of his career, he suddenly disappeared. No scandal, no retirement announcement, not a single explanation. One slip on social media turned into a storm that destroyed his entire career. Words of betrayal, dark secrets that Hollywood once tried to bury. From the height of fame to the depths of doubt, Talib's story was no longer the tragedy of a star, but the collapse of an entire empire, a place where money, desire, and power turned a genius into a symbol of downfall. So what really happened? Was Talib Kweli a victim, or the one who created his own hell? Everything will be unlocked right now. Talib Kweli, the escape from the shadow of academia. Talib Kweli Green was born on October 3, 1975 in Brooklyn. A child raised among bookshelves as tall as grown adults in a home where every dinner revolved around literature history and debates that were very academic. His mother was a literature professor. His father ran a college. His younger brother later became a law professor at Columbia. People looked at that family and saw a path already drawn school degrees classrooms. And the important thing is Kweli was a very obedient child. Since he was young, he fully believed in the path his parents laid out. He wanted praise, wanted to be recognized as the good kid of the Green family, wanted to prove he deserved the enormous academic foundation in his home. No one thought that child would one day stand under stage lights with thousands of people shouting his rap lyrics. But life never follows anyone's blueprint. Not until high school, when De La Soul Jungle Brothers and Native Tongues brought Afrocentric thinking into music, did Kweli realize hip-hop was not just noise. It was truth. It was identity. It spoke about things school never mentioned. And from there, he began to love music. In the late 80s and early 90s, hip-hop suddenly changed. It awakened, became deeper conscious, filled with the real pain of Black people. And right at that moment, Talib Kweli, a child born into an academic family, began to slide away from the path drawn for him. He skipped classes to listen to Al Sharpton speak, freestyled under streetlights in Washington Square Park until his throat burned. Then in 9th grade, everything hit grades. Dropped fast, homework, abandoned absences so frequent the school had to call his parents. And during those tense family meetings, Kweli's father said the sentence he would never forget. "You will never make money from that unrealistic art stuff. Drop it. Become a lawyer." Eventually, his parents had to make a tough decision. They sent him to Cheshire Academy, a strict boarding school in Connecticut, hoping to bring him back to the straight path. But ironically, that place only made Kweli clearer about who he was. And each weekend, when he returned to New York, he ran into the city, like it was the only place that understood him. Then, in 1998, the first big explosion arrived. Black Star. A young Talib Kweli partnered with Mos Def, 2 Brooklyn kids who were not rich, not flashy, but had what the rest of rap had lost: truth. When the industry was drowning in gold money and violence, Black Star talked about self-respect, community, and what young Black people faced every day. The album, Mos Def and Talib Kweli Are Black Star, reached number 53 on the Billboard 200 even without a commercial machine behind it. Critics did not just praise it, they treated it as a reminder that hip-hop was born to heal, not to show off. But life is not fair. Black Star was celebrated, but not protected. As hip-hop shifted into the commercial era, the spotlight abandoned the ones who preserved its soul. Talib and Mos Def were pushed aside, even though they were the ones keeping the flame alive. Kweli went solo. And for the first time, the world saw him differently. Quality exploded RIAA Gold remixes. With Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes, Kanye, Snoop Dogg. His name rose out of the underground money. Opportunities came, and the spotlight finally stopped exactly where he stood. But from there, Kweli's life became more fragile. The higher he rose, the harder the impact. And those impacts would begin showing their true face in the next chapter. The turning point. Behind the scenes. Mysteries and conflicts. Some tiny moments can flip a person's entire life. For Talib Kweli, that moment happened one day in 2002, in an old New York studio when the door opened and Kanye West walked in. No one knew that night would change both of their lives. Kanye came to find Mos deaf. Mos had not arrived yet. Kanye waited, tapping the table, then suddenly turned on the machine and played beats like he needed to prove something immediately. Good You, Gorilla Monsoon Rap. Kweli instantly loved every beat Kanye played for him, including Good You and Gorilla Monsoon Rap. Kweli remembered that Kanye really blew me away, and I didn't even know who he was at the time, but he knew he was hearing something special. From that night, Get By was born. A beat produced by Kanye, a song that put Talib on the mainstream map, and also his first solo track to enter the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 77. For a conscious rapper, that was a milestone. The song blew up, opened tours, opened shows, opened his wallet for the first time after more than a decade underground. Talib trusted Kanye, trusted him enough to let him open a joint tour with Common, trusted him enough to bring Kanye's demo to Rawkus Records and say sign him. He is the future. But Rawkus refused. They did not believe Kanye could become a rapper, a decision Talib later called fate. Then the first crack appeared right inside the hit that took Talib to the top. When making the Get By remix, Talib only wanted Jay-Z. Busta Rhymes begged, Talib agreed. Kanye wanted to join, but Talib was unsure. That night, Talib left the studio, and once the door shut, Kanye and Yasin Bey walked into the booth, recorded their verses, and the next day brought an unauthorized remix to DJ Enough to play on the radio. Jay-Z heard that the remix had already aired before he even recorded his verse, and he had no idea what was happening. A song Talib respectfully invited him to was now on the radio, without notice. Chaos erupted, and the one who had to clean it up was Talib Kweli, standing between Jay-Z, Yasin Bey, and Kanye, explaining everything. But he swallowed it. He thought, whatever. He is young, as long as the song is good. But everything changed after the blueprint. When Kanye released the beats that built Jay-Z's masterpiece, the whole industry turned toward him. Kanye became the most in-demand producer. Talib remembered Kanye once wanted to be signed to Rawkus, but when the blueprint exploded, everything changed. Kanye no longer needed Rawkus, and he no longer needed Talib. From 2003 onward, Kanye focused on his own career and became a superstar, while Kweli remained a conscious rapper trying to stay in the mainstream flow. Then in 2021, Kanye tore down the last bridge. On Drink Champs, he raised a glass, laughed, and said, "I apologize to Kweli. I'm sorry I never fucked with your raps." He added that Common was better than him 1,000 times. No explanation, no reason, just a public stab. Talib stayed silent for days. Then he exploded. He posted photos of Kanye beside ghostwriters, implying Kanye did not write all of his own music. He said he had receipts. The tone was no longer a friend reminding a friend. It was someone who had been betrayed too many times and finally had to defend himself. A friendship once considered a hip-hop legacy suddenly became a wound that never healed for 20 years. And from here, the biggest question appeared. After Get By, after the glory of quality, when did Talib's career truly begin to fall? Or did the real fall begin? The moment the friend he once lifted up turned his back on him on national television, destroying his own career with a keyboard. In 2020, while the world was in chaos, because of the pandemic and social media had become the only place left for people to argue, Talib Kweli walked into a battle no one expected. It all started with something very small. Maya Moody, an activist focused on equity and colorism, asked a question about rappers only mentioning light-skinned black women. An open-ended question aimed at no one, but Talib saw it, and he felt targeted. From a simple reply, the conversation turned into a long chain of arguments day after day. Talib responded to every comment one by one, almost without rest. Outsiders saw only an older rapper arguing with the entire internet. But to Talib, it was a fight about dignity, about truth, about what he believed he had done for his community. Then the worst happened. The entire Twitter timeline was consumed by the tension. Fans split into two sides. One said Talib was defending himself. The other said he was attacking, harassing, and stalking Maya Moody by replying endlessly. Every tweet, every sentence of his was dissected, analyzed, and debated like a public courtroom. No one cared who he was, what he had done, or what he had said. For Black women, the internet did not care about history. It only cared about drama. During those days, the image of Talib Kweli, a man once on the front lines fighting for justice, a man who spoke about self-respect and empowerment, was torn apart right in front of the younger generation. People who once saw him as a conscious hero now saw only a man who did not know when to stop. Some even said bluntly, "You are not the Talib Kweli of Black Star anymore. You are a shadow ruining yourself." Then after weeks, Twitter made its decision. Permanent suspension. A permanent ban. A cold verdict, no negotiation. It was not just losing a social media account, it was losing a voice. Losing the space he used to connect with fans, to fight to share ideas. Losing a piece of his public identity built over 2 decades. That moment felt like the club door slamming shut right before an artist steps onto the stage. No spotlight, no noise, only silence. Talib once walked through Brooklyn nights believing rap could change the world. But the internet, the place that once empowered him, became the place that hit him the hardest. What shocked people was not just the suspension. It was the cruel paradox of the entire story. A rapper who spent his entire life defending Black women was now accused of harassing a Black woman. A man who taught a generation that words have power lost himself because of words. The fight with Maya Moody did not just shake Talib's career. It opened a question no one wanted to face: can an icon destroy his own image? Simply because he does not know when to stop. And this was only the beginning. Because after this public fall, more impacts would follow. And each fall would be deeper than the last. The fractured marriage. There are chapters in Talib Kweli's life that the public never hears in radio interviews, never appears in his socially conscious rap verses, and never gets mentioned in his community speeches. These are the chapters that live in the dark, where the music goes silent, where the stage lights cannot reach. And it is in those shadows that Talib's personal life began to crack in ways no one expected. The story always begins with small things: an irritated look, an unnecessary sentence, a late night coming home from a show, a message that was not deleted in time. Talib and DJ Ikwe were once a couple. Many people envied a smart rapper, a strong DJ, the two showing up together at New York's vibrant underground parties. But behind the laughter, the first cracks had appeared long before, only no one could see them. Then came 2010. One night at Snap Bar, a small thing exploded into something big. According to witnesses quoted by Page Six, DJ Ikwe saw Talib talking too closely with a woman at the bar. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just one of those moments that no outsider can define. But to a wife already carrying doubt, that moment was like a match hitting a gas tank. The argument started. Words got louder. A table flipped over. Glasses hit the floor. People in the bar stopped and turned to look. No one expected that Talib Kweli, a man seen as a voice of logic and consciousness, would be standing in the middle of such chaos. Security walked in, and for the first time in his life, the press reported that Talib Kweli was escorted out of a bar for arguing with his wife. It was not a Hollywood-style scandal, no viral video, no evidence of cheating, but it was the first sign that his marriage was standing on a fault line. After that night, things went quiet. No one knows how long the couple tried what they said during late-night conversations, or what promises they made to hold on to each other. All that is known is that by 2015, the two officially separated. No scandal, no grand announcement, no long online statements, just two people who walked together for a decade, choosing different directions. But private life always has shadows the public cannot see. When the Twitter scandal erupted in 2020, sites like Jezebel and many Reddit accounts began digging up old stories. Among them was an unverified accusation that Talib had relationships with dozens, if not hundreds of women over more than 10 years. No evidence, no witnesses. Just an anonymous claim repeated too fast during a moment when Talib was being heavily criticized online. But sometimes celebrity life works that way. The truth does not need to be clear, as long as the rumor sounds believable. And the fact that Talib was a fierce debater, sometimes too aggressive on social media, made some people believe things no one had ever proven. By August 2021, DJ Ekwe filed for divorce after more than 10 years of marriage. Public records showed they had been separated since 2015. No explanation, no official accusation, just silence. A strange silence, long and heavy, that made the public even more curious. What really happened behind that closed door? What makes it all compelling and also sad is the contrast. Talib Kweli has always been seen as a conscious rapper, a man who defended black women, fought for the community, used music to uplift others. But his personal life was full of doubts, arguments, and rumors involving women. That contradiction does not make him worse, but it makes him more human. A man with strengths and weaknesses, mistakes, poor choices, and sometimes nameless shadows. What matters is that Talib never explained everything. He denied some accusations, stayed silent on others, and left an empty space that fans filled with speculation. It is that silence more than any scandal that created the feeling that there was something Talib would never say. But perhaps the most painful part is not the rumors. It is the reality that the man who built his career speaking about truth could not keep the truth in his personal life intact. The broken marriage, the loud arguments recorded, the persistent rumors. All of it created a very dark chapter in Talib Kweli's life. A chapter he never mentions, but one whose impact lasts to this day. And from that shadow, a bigger question begins to emerge. Can a man stand up for his community, yet fail to save his own family? And what really lies beneath the conscious image Talib spent 2 decades building? The gray areas of the European tour. Black Star was once a symbol. Not the kind of symbol hung on billboards or Spotify ads. They were the old kind of symbol, 2 men standing on their own feet, using their own voices without any major system backing them. So when they returned, when both Talib and Mos Def stepped onto European stages in 2025, fans expected many things: a comeback, a reminder of a time hip-hop had a heart. But instead of light, what they received was a fog. Not fog from the stage, but fog from accusations from a single article, and from a controversy no one could fully understand. The article came from Stereogum, a reputable music site, not some cheap tabloid. But the way they wrote made everything vague, as if they wanted the audience to imagine the rest. They used the phrase "disappointing incidents" to describe Black Star's European tour, but they did not say what those incidents were. No video, no audio, no independent witnesses, no description of any specific behavior, just a vague sentence enough to plant suspicion in the public's mind. That kind of vagueness is dangerous. It is like standing at the entrance of a Compton alley at dusk. You cannot see who is at the end, but you feel something is not safe. The article created that same feeling, a shapeless uneasiness. Talib reacted immediately. He did not stay silent. He did not let things pass like most artists do when scandals appear. Talib stood firm and said, "Stereogum's information is false." He did not use fancy words. He did not play with language. He spoke with a halted tone, like someone who had been misunderstood too many times. But the problem is, an artist's denial is always weaker than a journalist's implication. One side has words, the other side has doubt, and doubt always wins. Fans split into 2 sides. The first group, people who had followed Talib since 1998, immediately took his side. They said Stereogum exaggerated clout chased, tried to create drama, because Black Star did not follow mainstream media patterns. But the other side, people who already disliked Talib from his online arguments, immediately said the article must have a reason. They used Talib's past to justify the present, even though the two were unrelated. From there, the European tour was no longer a tour. It became a battlefield. Scattered posts started appearing online. Some said Talib felt a bit unpleasant. Some said he was unprofessional. But all the accounts were like, "From what I saw, seemed like, looked like." No one dared make a firm statement. No one showed evidence. It was like watching people build a puzzle without any clear pieces. But the strange part was this. Mos Def said nothing. No denial, no confirmation, no taking sides. Complete silence. And Mos Def's silence created another layer of fog. Because everyone knows, if anyone understands Talib best, if anyone witnessed everything beside him, it is Mos Def. His silence made the rap community even more divided. In the hip-hop world, silence can be more dangerous than accusations. Some fans argued that Mos Def had always been silent, that he had never been someone who explained or talked much to the media. But others said, if Talib is correct, Mos should say at least one thing. And so from one incomplete article, the entire community turned it into a story about friendship, about Black Star's internal dynamic, about the dim light of a tour no one had enough information to judge. The most illogical part is this. If there really were disappointing incidents, would none of the thousands of European fans record even one video? In an era where everyone carries a phone, every stage drama gets filmed from Kanye stopping shows to Travis Scott's falls. But for the Black Star Tour, nothing. Not 1 second of video. Not one unusual photo. Not one audio clip. Only Stereo Gum's article. And Mos Def's silence. And Talib stood in the middle. A man who once stood in the light of hip-hop truth was now standing in the shadow of a baseless accusation. He said he was not wrong. He said the article was not true. But no matter how much he spoke, it could not defeat the doubt that had already been released into the air. The feeling was similar to what Dr. Dre experienced early in his career, an unclear accusation. A story retold through multiple layers of hearsay, forcing the artist to defend himself with nothing but his own voice. When information becomes a weapon, the truth gets pushed back several steps. And the saddest part is this happened right when Talib Kweli was no longer at his peak, no longer enjoying the spotlight like during the Quality era. A vague accusation can destroy a rising star. But for an artist already surrounded by other controversies, it can easily be blown into something much bigger. In the end, that European tour had no real scandal. Only a scandal in how people imagined it. Everything felt like a blurred film with each person seeing a different version. Stereo Gum said there were incidents. Talib said no. Mos Def stayed silent. Fans argued. Anti-fans concluded. And the truth stood somewhere in the dark. In Hollywood, gray areas like these are always the most dangerous. Because sometimes what kills a career is not what you did. It is what people think you did. And for Talib Kweli, this was only one of the first shadows dragging him into the spiral of the years that followed. The unfinished legacy. There is a truth Talib Kweli's fans never thought they would have to face. He did not disappear because he lost. He did not fade because he lacked talent, and he did not fall because of a scandal big enough to erase his name from the map. What killed his echo was the silence of an entire system. A cold, emotionless silence with no announcement and no final bell. It was like a light bulb in a familiar room suddenly burning out, and everyone quietly moving to another room, without bothering to see who was left sitting in the dark. In 2022, Black Star reunited. Something fans had waited nearly 2 decades for. A comeback that should have shaken the entire hip-hop world. Two faces tied to conscious rap. Two icons who once saved the soul of late 90s hip-hop finally returned with a new album together. It should have been the comeback of the decade. Yet once again, their fate did not follow normal logic. That album, No Fear of Time, was released exclusively on Luminary, a podcast platform, not Spotify, not Apple Music, not YouTube where billions of people listen every day. They chose a small room, locked the door, and placed the album inside like a secret gift only a few could find. No big promotion, no music videos, no media campaign, no TV performances, no radio push, and most importantly, no open door for the crowd. Loyal fans tried to find ways to listen, but the majority did not. An entire new generation people who had never known who Black Star was saw the album as a tiny piece of news that scrolled past and disappeared. It left no impact, no aftershock, just a whisper inside the noisy room of the internet. That silence did not only hurt Black Star, it suffocated Talib Kweli's legacy once again. A man once praised as the voice of the voiceless, a man who brought Afrocentric ideology into the mainstream, a man who stood beside Kanye Mos Def and High Tech. now appeared like an audio file buried inside an app no one bothered to open. No one says this out loud, but everyone knows the age of the internet is not the age of CDs. There are no more Tower Records or Virgin Megastores for fans to line up at. No more MTV where one good video could change a career. The internet filters everything through algorithms, and algorithms do not respect legacy. They only know what is viral, what is easy to watch, easy to laugh at, easy to share, easy to argue about, and the deep things. The rap verses about Black history. The writing about self-respect dignity thought the algorithm gives no points for that. Talib Kweli, the man who believed words could save a generation, fell into the trap of the era. If you do not create content the internet likes, the internet will forget you, even if you are a legend. As hip-hop entered the TikTok era, the era where a 10-second clip decides whether a song lives or dies, the era where a simple hook can get millions of views just because it fits a dance, conscious artists like Talib were pushed into the dark. No one intentionally pushed them away, but the algorithm did it without asking permission, coldly, mechanically. The most painful truth is this: the new generation does not know who Talib Kweli was. They know Kendrick, J. Cole, Joey Bada, but they do not know that before those rappers existed, Talib brought that same ideology into a much harsher era. They do not know Black Star paved the way for intellectual rap. They do not know Get By was once the sigh of the entire working class. They do not know the underground shows of 2002 to 2004 once made the whole East Coast stand up for a single lyric from Talib. They do not know because the internet did not show them. Some say Talib was overshadowed by personal controversies. Some say he stepped away from the current. But if we look directly at the issue, the scarier part is how the modern music system chooses memories. It keeps what makes revenue and forgets what creates ideology. It keeps viral faces and lets the foundation builders sink. The biggest question, and the one that haunts most, is who decides who gets remembered? Fans, journalists, peers, or the accidental algorithms of digital platforms? If Talib Kweli, one of the most ideological rappers of his generation, one of the core faces of Black Star, can be almost completely overlooked, then what does that say about the future of artists who choose truth over glamour? Maybe legacy does not die. It only gets buried. But who will dig it up? That is what makes Talib Kweli's story so heavy. He did not disappear. He simply dimmed, not because of his own fault, but because the spotlight moved elsewhere. A light that went out without anyone noticing. A legacy lying in the hallway of hip-hop, with no cry, no farewell. And when looking at that ending, we are forced to ask ourselves, if an artist like Talib can become a forgotten name, then who can possibly stand firm in the storm of this era?
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast. There is still so much more to explore: stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on your screen.